a beautiful day in the studio.
What a beautiful day and a long time coming. Thank you so much for being here and making this time and being so flexible as we try to find the right time to do this.
Right. Being business owners and moms and survivors, it just takes a little bit to like get here. And now we're here. So let's have fun with it. Just
being in your energy is so uplifting.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Have you ever met somebody who has just like the most maternal and joyous? The funny part about your name being Joy, like just that positive, uplifting, soulful, beautiful energy. And I first met Joy because I had a girlfriend of mine who literally said to me, "You've got to meet this beautiful woman who has a very similar story to you and how we used wigs and going through cancer and treatment." And somebody told me about how we both used wigs the same way and having dozens of them, but it didn't really register with me how similar it was until you sent me the video of you and your different wigs, and even our video journals throughout our cancer experience. The fact that we both did video journals throughout the experience is just wild. So it's really beautiful. I really wish that more women going through treatment spent the time videoing themselves in their journals, like testimonials, that these types of journaling is not just for reality TV shows, that it really is healing. I got the idea from a girlfriend of mine who knew that I wanted to create a documentary out of the experience. But what is it that made you do video journals through your cancer journey?
I feel like, well, first of all, thank you for having me. And it's just like, it feels so amazing just to be with you and talk about our stories and how we not only survived, but really thrived and got through it and had fun with the wigs and that process. I know for me, I think cancer was a big wake-up call and a rebirth of sorts. And I used to have this really long, voluptuous, big hair. And I think when I went through my healing journey, I lost my hair and my boobs. It was a completely a new identity, if you will. And I wanted to create something that was fun, that helped me tap into play and pleasure and alter ego. And it was kind of like a rediscovery, like, who is this Joy? Who do I want to be? If there's aspects of myself that kind of died with the, shaving off the hair. I don't want to say died. That's the wrong word.
Although actually,
I was of the old self.
Maybe? I was actually going to start my response to that with that.
The death of the old self.
The death of the old self, because it did feel like that to me.
Right. Like a rebirth. Like, who is this new person?
And honestly, before I even asked who is it that this new person is, I also was really mourning and in the awareness that the old person was gone.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was almost in live time. It was a little confusing in that moment, but also exciting, but also sad, but also it was really a complex moment. So I like that you said it that way, because I've said so many times that it really did feel like a big part of me, if not all of me, died with my diagnosis, and a whole new me was really birthed as a result.
Yeah, I think I was hiking one day and I was completely bald, and I took a little video. I wanted to remember the strength that I had to get through it. And so when you asked me, like, well, why did you, and plus I just have always loved photography and all of that. But when I was hiking the mountain and I did that video, I said specifically that my identity is no longer in what I look like or what I do, because a lot of our lives, I think, as women, our identity is wrapped up in what we look like and what we do. And I felt like a new identity was emerging that was like based in my relationship with God. I became more spiritually minded. I've always been spiritually minded, but I was like, who is this new person? And what aspects of myself do I want to grow and develop beyond just what I look like right now and beyond what I do? And then I had a hard time looking at myself in the mirror with my bald head. So when you say, how did I gravitate towards the wigs? I knew instinctively that the first wig that I was going to get was going to be a bright turquoise bob.
That's what mine was purple. Mine was like a violet purple.
I just knew. And so,
what was her name?
Ramona. Yeah. So my neighbor actually helped me come up with some really just fun alter egos. She was the Vegas nightclub owner. That was the total boss babe. That
Ramona was.
Ramona. Yeah, I think yours was like more like Zoe, right?
I had a blonde bob.
That was like the
Zoe
powerful
Saffron de Chanel. That was the powerful, bossy bitch that just went out and like, she just demanded and commanded a room.
Yes.
But my first wig was Destiny, and she was like a violet, honestly, like a little bit curly like yours now, and with bangs. And she was just funky and fun, but I could also make her like a little preppy, you know? And yeah, they all had different personalities.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of enjoyed walking out and not being recognized by people, kind of. Totally. I kind of enjoyed that.
Did you play the personality too?
Yeah.
I did, like on accident.
Right. You become that person.
Truly.
It's so fun.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where the play and pleasure comes in, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And truly, I mean, I had a very similar realization as you. I got out of the shower one day, and it was like I had this visceral reaction to my reflection. And I remember staring into the mirror. It's like I slowly walked toward the mirror and I stared in the mirror, and I ended up taking a selfie in this moment, not smiling. It's like I saw myself for the first time.
Without hair and without all the things. It's just like really you.
Right. Like my face was puffy. Under my eyes were dark. I had melasma all over my skin. I was bald. I mean, I looked nothing like myself.
I did the same thing one day.
And I thought to myself, how fierce. Like I saw my eyes and I felt like I looked like a lion. And I couldn't stop looking at myself, like in my soul. And I thought everything about me had been eradicated. My hair that was so big and beautiful and long, right? My lashes that I just loved, my vibrant personality, all my energy. It was like, it was all gone. And I thought, what am I going to do to rebuild a whole new me that's empowered and positive and real and raw and authentic, right?
Yeah.
That's not about what people need of me, but more liberating the parts of me that needed to be given to the world. Like, it's a different kind of service. Right? I had created a service based on people pleasing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for
Not
sure. 100%.
A service based on like truly what my purpose and core like meaning of my existence is, which is such a differentiation between what feels good to give, and not because it gives you value, but what feels good to give because it's like overflowing with love.
Overflowing with love. Cancer gives you the opportunity to let go of all the parts of yourself that no longer are serving you, that no longer are contributing to your mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual health. And if it is an opportunity, so you can choose to be a victim, right? Oh, like, oh my gosh, what is this doing to me? Or, oh wow, this is an opportunity for me to actually connect with the gifts that my God-given gifts, if you believe in God, I do, that are to be, and it does boil down to love. You realize that the essence of it is we are here to love each other, to love on each other. Unconditionally. And if you can love yourself in the mirror when you look at yourself with no hair, no boobs, melasma, whatever it is, like, and then you see, like, you don't need to be anything else in that moment to be loved. And for me, it felt so amazing to be, I was like, for the first time in my life, I don't have to do anything to be, like, all I have to do is to live right now. I don't, like, it's not attached to what I'm doing because I wasn't working for a few months. It's not attached to what I look like. And it felt freeing for a little bit. And then using the wigs was a part where it was like, okay, I get to recreate something new. And that was fun. Yeah.
I feel like for me, for sure, at the time, it was more of a distraction, but I
For sure.
But it was so much more than that.
Because you want to feel beautiful, and fun and funky, and get to explore aspects of your personality that you never explored before, right?
Right.
With the pink hair.
Exactly. The pink hair, the purple hair, the green hair.
Yeah.
You know, the blonde. I've never been this blonde until I was going through the wigs, you know? And it was not only a distraction, though. It really channeled different aspects of me that needed to be liberated. And I found that to be really, really powerful. Like I'm still Destiny. Destiny is still me. You know, I am Zoe and Zoe is me. You know, I am vitamin C and vitamin C is me. I am Dolly and Dolly is me. Yeah. And those moments, like, that really did help me give permission to release and relinquish the old me and to allow myself to be all these women.
Explore new aspects of yourself that you wanted to see more of.
That's right.
Right?
That felt really good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think Ramona was like, you know, when I would go into treatments or go into the doctor's office, it made me I felt really powerful and just like I could do anything. Yeah. Like anything, really.
So what were you doing for work before you got diagnosed, or were you doing what you do now, or what did work look like for you then?
Yeah, I've owned my own business for the last 12 years, and Joy Wellness, and I am an Eastern medicine practitioner, and I was doing that. I was doing acupuncture, herbal medicine, nutrition, and mindset work for women. For women. And I took a little bit of time off. I have an associate acupuncturist that works with me, and I was able to take a little bit of time off. But I took the advice of like these really seasoned, like, survivor women that came into my life at this time, and they said, working will help you. Like, you don't need to just become this like victim patient who's like at home all the time. So I took that advice, and I took off the time that I needed, but then I really got right back in there. And when I went into my office, I really shared with women instead of trying to hide what had happened to me. I really shared what had happened to me.
So beautiful.
And I feel like that connection, that vulnerability with women, like it felt good to be like, this is what happened to me. This is what I'm doing to get through. And whatever you're facing today, you also can get through it.
Yeah.
You know,
it's so beautiful, because I do feel like so many women suffer in silence in so many ways. Yeah. And women that suffer through cancer in silence just absolutely blows my mind. It breaks my soul. Yeah. Because a big aspect of what I advocate for is how to develop and really grow a system of support. And it doesn't have to be through your friends and family. It can be through organizations and foundations and volunteers. It can be through, you know, for me, one of my biggest supporters was a woman who owned the coffee shop down the street, because that's the place I went to every morning for my turmeric latte. It got me out of bed, and I walked to that coffee shop. And when I walked in, all of their smiling, happy faces was everything for me. Yeah. And it was, and I told them that, you know, every day that I walked to that cafe, because it was just a beautiful, uplifting energy, and just energetically knowing that that's what gave me energy in the morning was so powerful. And then that same cafe did spoken word at night. They did open mic nights. That. They did a lot of community-driven things that gave me a reason to get out of my bed. Yeah. You know, even in the days that I felt like crap. And so, you know, your system of support doesn't have to feel like weight on somebody. It actually can be supporting somebody else's business. Yeah. You know, a big piece of me fulfilling myself now and regenerating myself now is in collaboration with women like you. 100%. Right? Not only in these types of conversations where we can talk to people about what you do and how you can really help and transform lives and bodies, but also, you know, how I nurture myself, like laying on your bed and experiencing acupuncture for the first time, right? Yeah. And then having it, by the way, I'm just going to give a quick PSA, because I did 2 rounds of acupuncture, and after going through a chemo-induced menopause, I got my period back. It regulated my hormones to such a degree that I got my period back.
I love that so much for you.
It blows my mind, actually.
I love that for you.
And, you know, even feeling where in my body I have stuck energy, knowing that, you know, we were going through the acupuncture and then we needed to cup the hip, because that increased flow, I'm seeing that there's like a resistance in my right hip. then knowing metaphysics, looking up what is the right hip and what does it represent and how can I emotionally face and become aware of where I might still be getting energy stuck in my body.
For sure.
To me, it's so much power in what you do and how it has affected my body, but also in how I advocate to women on how to see and acknowledge and become aware of their own bodies.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. One thing that you didn't know that I don't know if I told you.
Okay. I can't wait for this.
Is that before I met that doctor at that party that was like, oh, and that lady that knew you. And then I was telling this lady at this party, oh, this is how, I want to empower women that have gone through this. And she was like, you sound so much like my friend Mel, who also used wigs and everything. I had put a goal in my mind. I was like, I now am empowered to help women that are survivors. I want to see a survivor not a survivor, a thriver. I want to see one on my table. Like, because most of my work has been focused on fertility and women's health and hormones. And so it was a really full circle moment for me to put that out to God, the universe, that I want to start working with women like myself that need that support, now that you're cancer free and, or maybe still even in the cancering process. Like, my heart now is for women like you. And so it was a full circle moment for me. Like, you know how when you have a little prayer and you're like, I want this to happen. And then I just reached out to you and I was like, you don't even know who I am, but like, I want to treat you. Like, I want to see you in my office. And then you just showed up and it was just like, it just felt really special to me. I don't know if you knew how meaningful that was to me to have you come in, because like now part of my practice is now really supporting women like you, so thank you for coming in.
The most beautiful thing about all of this is I do feel like you never know when you're answering someone else's prayer and they never know when they're answering yours, because that week was a particularly hard week for me. So much of the last 2 years have been such a hustle, and we were just talking about this before we started recording, but so much of the last 2 years has been such a hustle, and building a business and starting a nonprofit and figuring out how to get the message out there and how do I support other women, but also how do I not stop supporting myself and all these things. And I was just feeling like, and not able to spend any money or time on myself when your message came through. And I had just prayed about like,
I just love that
show
so
me
much.
how.
No, I love that so much.
Show me how to not lose myself in the process.
I love that.
And I literally said that, and then your message came through. I'm like, okay, thank you, God. And then
that's
when
how
we
it all
met,
works. It's like the circle of love, basically, right?
Like, listen to the nudges.
Yeah.
When you are inspired to reach out to somebody, when you're inspired to help somebody, to show up for somebody and to uplift somebody, do it. When you need support and help and uplifting from someone else, and you know somebody who can provide that for you, ask for the help and receive it. There's so much power in, and then knowing that now as a friend, like, I'm committed to you. Yeah. I'm committed to your business. I'm committed to your cause, because not only have I experienced it firsthand what it can do for me, but it's also knowing like your grander mission, and it's so aligned with mine.
Really
is. Like it really is. It's
really
about not only survivors, but all women, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we've both worked with women in fertility. I used to teach a postpartum fitness class. I used to teach a called Fit for Baby. I used to teach a fitness class for pregnant women in Babies R Us.
That's so great.
And then I taught like a body back program that was for women postpartum.
Awesome.
And while women came to me to help with their bodies, I feel like it was really more about their mental, emotional health.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. When people come in, that is something that I feel like it's, the mental, emotional, like the anxiety, all that. I absolutely love supporting women that need that kind of mental, emotional. Yeah. That's what drew me to Eastern medicine, is the focus on mind, body, and spirit, right? It's not just about the physical body, right? I mean, it's so powerful, what we're thinking, all of that. And to be seen and witnessed and held when you're going through something, whether it's fertility or getting your body back, or, post-cancer or during cancer, it's like we all deserve that, and you provide that for women. When I showed up to your supper club, I mean, I felt like you make each person in the room. Sorry, I just spit on you. No, you're good. You make each person in the room feel so special,
because each woman in the room is so special and so
like,
loved.
To be able to take the time for yourself as a woman. So like, yeah, I mean, we both, the mind, body, spirit, and then the way that you make people feel in the room. I feel like that's something that we both bring. Is like, I absolutely love when somebody comes in to just make them feel so seen.
Well, you do.
Heard, witnessed, held, loved.
You do. I show up and you brought me mushroom tea, which I love because I can drink it. You know, there's so much about my eating and drinking habits that have shifted so much over the last couple of years.
For sure.
And mushroom tea is just something that I wish more people knew about, A. And B, just there's something really special about a mug. And I love that you picked a mug for me. And when I was sitting down and you were telling me about what I'm about to experience, because I'm 40 years old and I've never done acupuncture and didn't really actually know how it worked. But it was also part of a trend in my life learning about Eastern medicine. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I've been practicing yoga since I was a teenager, and that has been a common thread that has really brought me back to myself, mind, body, soul, my whole life. But that's really where my awareness and education around Eastern medicine started and ended. And so I learned so much about that with you. So I would love to explore, like, how did you get into that? What were your first steps? How do you integrate it in what you do?
I was raised by some really naturally minded parents, you know, born in 78. So kind of like all natural. And when I was sick, my parents would say, you know, why don't you have some garlic and onions and go stimulate your acupressure points on your feet by walking in the backyard? So like, this is how I was raised.
That's amazing.
Just all natural medicine, right? We didn't do any Western medicine or pharmaceuticals for the most part. So, you know, was raised by very naturally minded parents who really took their health into their own hands. And so it was really natural for me going into college. I studied violin performance. So my first career was I was a violinist.
Love that.
And then my mom was a massage therapist also. So I learned massage and did massage out of my college dorm room. And then when I finished, I just was like, I really want to get into nutrition of some sort. I want to help people heal with their mind, body, spirit, but I wasn't exactly sure which avenue. So I looked into naturopathic medicine, looked into different modalities. And when I graduated with my undergrad, my parents said, you seem run down. You just finished your undergrad. You should go try some acupuncture. So I was like, okay. They're like, we'll pay for it.
I love your parents.
So I went to this guy, and it was my first experience with acupuncture. And he like looks at my tongue, feels my pulse, and he's like, you need to eat some meat. You're so deficient. You've just been eating vegetarian.
Based on your tongue.
Yeah.
I just read that in an Ayurvedic book.
Yeah. So Eastern medicine is based off of Ayurvedic medicine. Ayurvedic medicine goes back 5,000 years.
Incredible.
And that is the root of Chinese medicine and Eastern medicine. Eastern medicine was developed about 3,000 years ago, and they based it off of the 3 doshas with Ayurvedic medicine. So they expanded upon that, and they included more advanced herbal medicine and nutrition techniques and modalities. So I went to this guy, and I was just really fascinated. Like, how could he tell all this about me just from like looking at me one time, you know? And so got my first experience. And then when I went back to him, he had actually sold the practice to a naturopathic physician who was a Russian physician that specialized in fertility. And she's this like amazing medicine woman.
Wow.
And literally my encounter with her, along with my upbringing, really, I had this aha moment where it was like, this is my life path, and I will help women have babies. And I think it goes back to what you're passionate about when you're 5. Like, I was all about babies and when it could not. I mean, that was like the one thing I knew in life is I want to be a mom. I want to, you know. And so for me, it was just like full circle. When I was 18, I also had gone through this like career coaching type thing. Like, what are you supposed to do? And they said, it came back after all this stuff. It was like, I will bring hope and healing to others by presenting them with the truth and encouraging them to apply it. And so going back to just that 18-year-old self, I feel like I am living that out, and I absolutely love what I do. So I've helped women now for 12 years. have babies, have families. And sometimes it's an integrative approach with Western medicine as well. So I always say like Western medicine is like the father sort of, and Eastern medicine is like the mother, right? It's like the gentle nurturing. What do you need to change about your inner landscape to get balance, like to get more in harmony with nature? We've gotten out of balance with, we are part of nature.
Yeah.
And so getting our, our circadian rhythms, our sleep, our sex hormones, finding pleasure again, finding the areas where you're stuck and you're out of balance with nature, and then applying solutions like being witnessed. Herbal medicine. We have all these beautiful herbal medicines, right, that the world has given us, God has given us. And so just applying those and finding the balance so that the body, the hormonal system works again.
It's incredible. I mean, I think that one thing that I also love about when you go in is you do like a whole scan of my body and like just kind of feel into, what I'm experiencing, asking me how I am. I can tell that you're taking my whole body into account. And I feel like that's a piece of Western medicine that's really struggled.
Absolutely.
Parts
medicine.
Yeah, parts medicine, exactly. Where I'm like, I this is failing, then something else is attached to that. And that's maybe malfunctioning even before it starts failing. But it's like really getting to the root of what the issue is and really addressing it on an all-encompassing approach, right? Like the sleep, the being active, the getting out in nature, the walking through grass, the
grounding.
Right? It's really taking like your mental, physical, spiritual, emotional health and really creating an integrated approach to all of it.
For sure.
And I think that that's really important for people to realize that that's an option.
For sure. That is, I guess, the message, right? Is like, if there are subtle imbalances happening, you don't need to wait for like some major thing like cancer or like whatever.
In fact, please don't.
Like,
I would love it if I never had to talk about cancer again. But unfortunately, that is when people start listening.
Right.
To, hey, there are problems in our bodies that we need to find solutions to. And if you can find solutions to the micro problems, maybe it won't become a macro
problem. Cancer had made me realize that there were stress and there were things that I was not speaking in my relationship with my husband, certain unhappiness. And I finally, when I was diagnosed, I was just like, I finally had the courage and the voice and I encourage my patients to do this, like to have the courage and the voice to not only identify what's not working for you in your life, right? It's not like there's a reason why hormones are imbalanced, right? It's not just one of those things. There's a reason why cancer happens. And so it's like, first of all, getting still on the table, right? To really listen to what is it that I need to change about my life and not being a victim, right? Oh, like this just happened to me because I was unlucky. Oof. Right? I had a surgeon say that to me. You're like, you're so unlucky. Oh, you exercise every day and you got cancer. You're so unlucky. Like, no, so I took personal responsibility.
No to that.
So I mean, it's taking personal responsibility. So I had to actually have a really freaking hard conversation with him where I looked at him and I was like, this is no more. This is no more. Things that you're doing, things that we're doing, we deserve better. And I'm not doing this anymore.
Oh. On that note, pause.
Okay. Are we doing good?
Yeah. We're doing fabulous. But I can just edit at that point. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And we'll edit at that point and then reconnect it to where we're at now. That way. We need more than a half hour. That's just reality.
Okay.
Yeah. And that is so true. I think I have to remember back to where you were just at.
I just told my husband, I was like, I didn't know necessarily what that was going to mean for us. But he took note.
Did he?
He changed and I changed. And for some people, it doesn't work out. And maybe that's okay too.
Right.
I know you have your journey. And so it's like,
were you able to tell him what you needed him to change? Wow.
Mental, like there was
emotionally. And he was able to shift.
Yeah, there were habits that I've shared this on other podcasts. Yeah,
please.
I can be candid about it.
Let's go there. Let's really go
there.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
I shared this also at a breast cancer support group, and I had women come up to me afterwards and were like, I needed to hear that. Like, I need to speak some truth to my husband. Like, I can't have anger and emotions all pent up, because that causes disease in the body.
So let's go there.
Okay, we're going there.
What did you say to him, and how did it go?
So there were some habits and addictions that were harming both of us, and specifically with alcohol. And so, he's an incredible human being. I love him so much, and we're still, obviously we have a actually more beautiful relationship now because we did the hard inner work. I did my own personal work. So it wasn't just he changed, I changed. I've gone to counseling now for, like every 2 weeks since my diagnosis practically.
And how long ago was that?
It'll be 3 years in May that I was diagnosed, and I've gone through multiple surgeries and treatments and things. So,
and consistent therapy throughout.
Yeah.
I think that's important to acknowledge.
I had 16 rounds of chemo. I mean, it was tough. Yeah. I had stage 3B. So it started off as 2, and I had a lumpectomy, and I was doing all these natural things. And I wanted my body to heal like more naturally. Like, I wanted to be like one of those people that was like, I just used Eastern medicine and grounding and like supplements and like, just like, like it just all worked. And I just wanted that to be me so badly.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Like all the natural stuff. Yeah. So I did an integrative approach where the approach is like healing yourself emotionally and mentally, not just physically. Mm-hmm. So not just cutting out the cancer and then going right back into a dirty fishbowl of a lifestyle that supported the cancer, right? So it's taking personal responsibility. What, not like, oh my gosh, everything that I did caused my cancer and but a balanced approach of like, no, there actually are
just
things.
Realizing what didn't help, certainly.
Right.
I mean, even
taking
if you can't.
Responsibility for that.
Totally. I mean, I didn't shift anything in the beginning of my diagnosis. I was like, this is just going to be something I'm going to get over or through.
Like cut it out, eradicate it, and go back to my life.
Not even slowing down on my life and my business, even after my diagnosis. I went to 2 conferences.
You told me that.
Yeah, I went to 2 conferences with my drain still attached.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I literally was at a dinner meeting at a work trip in San Diego, and I taped my what's it called? Drains. I taped my drains to my body and just wore a bigger jacket so that you couldn't see. I mean, and I was so proud of that. Now I'm like, bitch, what is wrong with you? Yeah. Like, go home and rest. You don't get extra credit for showing up to a conference with drains still attached after your mastectomy. Right, what? Right. Stop it.
Well, it's like you're wanting to grasp and hold on to life
that was my value.
As it was.
I had built such an identity in being that woman who never stopped, who was always there, who would always show up, who would never stop. Literally, I had created this identity and this career around this overgiving and people pleasing and constantly sacrificing.
No more to people pleasing.
Oh my gosh.
If you are a woman listening to this right now, we are both telling you firsthand, there's no more good girl. There's no more people pleasing.
Stop.
There's no more being like dominant and like, I can do it all, right? Like, no.
Yeah.
No.
It wasn't until after my 3rd round of chemo, I was at a leadership meeting in LA. I was about to fly to a work trip in Vegas, and I got a sore neck. And it wouldn't go away. And my husband was like, you probably just slept wrong. And people, like, nobody was that worried about it. And I was like, something is wrong. And if I slept wrong, the kink would get looser, not tighter. And it was getting tighter throughout the day. I'm like, I think I have a blood clot.
Oh my God.
Long story short, after 3 days of going into this ER and that ER, I finally got home. I finally got seen. And it was confirmed I had a blood clot. I get admitted to the hospital, going for an emergency surgery to remove my port. As I'm going into the OR, I test positive for COVID. And I'm now on lockdown in the hospital for a week. And it was like, stop. it was like the universe was literally stop. I almost died. And I'm sitting in the waiting room trying to get somebody to see me and get an ultrasound of my neck and confirm that I have a blood clot so that they can do something about it. And as I'm doing that, it's like the indifference in people's faces. They couldn't process. Even my husband, I'm watching from across the waiting room with me, and he's on his phone on Facebook. And at one point he fell asleep, and I felt like I could have probably stabbed him with a straw and killed him. Like I just was desperate for somebody to see me. That I was suffering.
To listen, like really like figure this out, like listen to me.
Right.
This is not,
And that changed everything.
Yeah.
It changed everything in my life, in my marriage, in my work, in myself, because it's when I realized that I am doing nobody any service if I'm gone, that if I continue to keep going as I am, not speaking up, not saying my truth, not like, I was bubbling over.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's how I felt. Yeah.
So that was it. That was the shift for me. I canceled all my flights after that. I started delegating things at work after that. I really started creating for the first time boundaries. I had no idea even what that was before that.
Yeah.
So that was really the big shift for me. But the reason why I ask you about your conversation with your husband is I really struggled with having that conversation in a way that was effective.
I did too. I
didn't know how to ask for what I wanted. I didn't know how he could shift and be more present. I didn't even know my emotions were just bubbling over and I couldn't stop crying. It was like decades of me not allowing myself to be emotional, really just was pouring out of me uncontrollably.
Once you were in that place, it finally unleashed and unlocked, and you were able to like actually experience. Emotions are so powerful, and from an Eastern medicine standpoint, you can be exercising every day and eating all the right things and doing all the herbal things, but if you have a toxic relationship or you have emotions that are not being met or not able to be released or self-expressed, there's some work that your life will be so much more vibrant and healthy, and if you're able to actually do that. So I encourage you, like just like we have, to do that.
It was so beautiful. I mean, honestly, that was the biggest blessing of all. The blood clot is really my biggest massive awakening, and that week-long, hospital stay was the most revolutionary moment in my life, and I cried through a lot of it, and nobody was there to see me or feel it but me. But that's what I needed. I had to see it and feel it first. And being in a hospital room, I couldn't, there was nowhere to go. I couldn't hide from myself anymore. I couldn't distract myself. I couldn't.
You're there with yourself.
Nobody
was going to be there for you except for you in that moment. I mean, I'm sure people came in, but it was like...
No, nobody could because I had COVID. Oh, my God. So I was literally... hardly even doctors came in. Hardly nurses. Hardly anybody. And I don't watch movies. And I couldn't self-soothe. I couldn't get high enough.
It was almost like one of those meditation retreats where you're in complete silence and people come out and they're like, oh, my gosh,
It's when I learned how to meditate. I started listening to YouTube meditations, guided meditations, just to keep myself from going nuts.
Yes.
And that saved me.
For sure.
I left the hospital a different woman. So that's where I really want to back it up to. I feel like a lot of women in that space, at that point, that was the beginning of me burning it down. I mean, at that point, it was like, nope. Just.
You came out empowered,
and everything had to go.
Energy, boundaries and all that. Yeah.
And I don't think I knew how to communicate what I was experiencing or even how people could show up differently in my life.
Yeah.
Maybe it was meant to be that they were all to go anyway. But at that stage, I'm so inspired by your story with your husband that you two were able to grow through it.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely put in the work. He stopped drinking, just stopped. And that was the beginning of transformation as far as us being, our nervous systems being more regulated to be able to be showing up for each other. And so I think that when things are hard, it's so easy to numb out or want to mask things or to drink too much if you're stressed. But, trying to be a little bit more present and like maybe feeling your emotions and allowing yourself to go there, and like having messy conversations that are actually really hard. I wish I would have maybe been more like forceful or expressive earlier. I feel like I tried to, kind of like you said you tried to.
Yeah.
You felt like you were like trying to be communicative, but you were like, it was ineffective.
Totally.
And so it
was like I wasn't speaking the same language.
Yeah.
Like I could communicate what I wanted.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to, but it's like you couldn't hear me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And no matter how many ways I said it, it's like it just never felt heard. Yeah. And the irony, I mean, it's not ironic, it's metaphysics, but the throat chakra. Right? And I had a massive blood clot in my jugular. I mean,
I had a nodule on my thyroid at one point.
The signs don't get much clearer. You had what?
I had a nodule on my thyroid at one point, and I also look at it as like, you have to self-express. You have to learn how to ask for what you need. You have to figure out what it is that you need. If you don't know what that is, or if you don't know how to make your own self happy, right, you need to figure that out.
Yeah. And so how do you figure that out? Let's go there too.
Yeah. I think for me, like I know for my patients, it's like they have 1 full hour to just be away from the noise of their family, their work, their responsibilities. And we kind of have a joke where you're like actually pinned to the table. So you get to be with yourself for 1 full hour. And for some people, that's really hard to just like meditate or not be on their phone or distracted. So you get to tune in inwardly with what it is that lights you up. And I think to survive, to either improve your sex hormones or to survive, if you're dealing with cancer, if you don't have a sense of purpose or something that lights you up and gives you a reason to you don't know what your purpose is, that thing, then you got to figure that out. Right?
And I love even how you said, it's like just laying on the table.
Being on with yourself for 1 full hour.
Right. And I even I've played my own music. I've played your music. I've played a guided meditation from a gal that I've worked with a couple of times for energy work. Yeah. I mean, really taking and owning that hour on your table. And I do think that having people realize that this type of work is self-love, that it's really an investment into your mind, body, soul connection.
Yeah.
Taking that time, if you have no idea where to start with something like that, right? Where you're in a space.
There's no distractions.
For me, it started with yoga because I am in hot yoga. I don't take my phone in there. And so even just having an hour, and I would even sometimes take my notebook. Yeah. And for the first month or two of that, it was just journaling constantly, ideas that came to my mind. Even if I never looked at it again, maybe I turned it into a to-do list, whatever it was. And then I got to a point where I didn't even need a notebook in there and I could just meditate in there. Yeah. And then it expands to, other ways to connect.
I think the way for me was I developed a morning ritual that has become so sacred to me. And after my double mastectomy, I started this immediately. I knew that I needed support. I knew that I needed some emotional support. So every morning I was like, I can be with myself. So I would journal every morning, and now that's turning into a book, right? So it's all those journalings, and it really, for me, I would have my, the coffee that I gave you, the Rise. It's a mushroom coffee. And I would look forward to that. I knew it was building my immune system. I would get the first morning sunlight to set the circadian rhythms. I would journal out my heart, just stream of consciousness. And I think that if you take the time for those kinds of rituals for yourself, you will figure out what you need to heal.
And
right?
finding your own physical. Right. Finding your own ritual, really, I'm the same way. And I get up in the morning and I have my mushroom tea and I go on my bike ride and I ride to yoga. Yeah. And when I come back, I listen to music.
Yeah. Music is huge.
Amazing. I mean, really, in the morning, it's all mantra music. Mm-hmm. There's something about that
Primal.
That really, yes, it's from India.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of Ganesha.
Yep.
Is a big guide for me. Mm-hmm. And I've always been drawn to Ganesha. Yep. And I've only recently learned in the last couple of years that Ganesha is the Lord of beginning and more spiritual connection to what that means. Learning about Saraswati and the goddess of knowledge, and really when I'm feeling stuck. so I listen to this mantra music in the morning, and it's all sort of guided around what I need to, what I'm looking to channel, right? Like just instinctually.
Well, yeah, like getting in touch with that day, like especially if you're like in treatment, like what do I need today?
Right now,
not
this hour.
like overall, like what do I need in this moment? Do I need more water? Do I need more physical connection, intimacy? Do I need more connection with others? Do I need more physical exercise? In getting into your intuition of what is needed right now. We've lost touch with that. Our culture is so busy. We've totally lost touch.
Totally.
So it's like getting back to that, so yeah, for me, I think we both, the hiking for us, like being in nature for me is a big one.
For sure.
Clearing out, because like you're not confined by the walls. You actually, your brain, research shows that it lowers anxiety, and so that is a prescription that I give people, right? Is like you got to get your body in nature.
I love also when you go to Joy, to her office for acupuncture, she will send you with a prescription. Right? Like sometimes it's different, like herbal medicine, like different things that you can take to kind of help with this or that.
I'm laughing because lately my prescriptions for people are for them to have more orgasms.
Oh, I mean.
So like also you might have to be like, am I actually receiving any pleasure? So with Joy Rising, when I'm getting more into like the virtual coaching is more of like, you got to have some pleasure and play on the journey. If you're not having like that sort of self-care and intimacy with yourself and able to flush cortisol out of your system, and yes, I'm going there. I think that is part of the healing.
Like ladies,
of anything, you got to have some pleasure. So you might, in your morning ritual, you might figure out that you actually do need more physical touch.
Yeah.
And that can be with yourself.
Yeah. That can be with yourself. Like you don't have to find partners.
Right.
Right. And
be empowered. Yeah.
Truly. And there is a sensation, and I want to go there, and I'm so glad that you did. And it's like, I position myself like I'm hugging myself.
Yes. I do that too. I did that in my doctor's office this week. I had a checkup, and I was like, this is stressful as hell. As much as like, I love my doctor, I'm like, I have to like nurture and hold myself. So we both do that.
It's so beautiful. Ladies, try it.
Yeah.
And feel the touch. Right? Like feel yourself being held. And sometimes I even think back and I think of like my grandma, and I imagine being young and just being held by her, and I think finding and figuring out where it is that makes you crumble and just like let yourself melt.
Yeah.
And that's really important. And I'm so glad that you're reminding me of that. I think we need to be reminded of these things, because even when we know them, you get busy and you lose them. Even sometimes I rush through my orgasms.
Right.
Like I got places to go, like things to do.
Fast food orgasm.
I'm like, I'm giving myself a quickie. Like, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Like more luxuriate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like slow it down. Yeah. Romance yourself a little bit. Truly. In every way.
I did a group with women for 3 months. It was like an online virtual thing with women. And it was all about discovering the pleasure.
Wow.
And I'm so excited to take those like tidbits of like juiciness that I got from that experience into working with women more virtually in that way. Because I think we're so like, what do I got to do to be successful and be a mom and heal from cancer? And it's like this checklist, right? I got to heal, I got to water, check, hike, that we forget like pleasure. And when I see you, like when I was with you at the dinner party. What do we call it? The dinner party?
Supper club.
The supper club.
I love my supper club.
I feel like it's all about like enjoying yourself and like eating a beautiful meal and taking the pleasure, the time to like have the pleasure and play of being with other women. And we don't always like give ourselves permission for that.
That's right. That is a big aspect of supper club and of the network, the women's network all together, because this isn't about business or opportunity. It is about connecting
with yourself and
women
others
and ourselves. You're right.
And I like so loved getting ready for that.
Yeah.
Like feeling sensual and like as a mom, like we always rush through things, like getting dressed up. Like you gave me an excuse to buy a new dress and like put on my like awesome Goodwill find like brand new shoes like that with the rhinestones and the feathers.
You looked fabulous.
And the stilettos. And I was like being with all these other sexy, gorgeous women. it gave me so much.
Yeah.
So like being able to
does.
take a second and like be able to lean into pleasure and play and
Absolutely.
like connecting with women.
So tell me more about Joy Rising, because
Yeah.
I feel like that's like a perfect segue into that. Like this is what you're now doing. You know, Supper Club was really out of just me wanting to connect with other women at dinner, right? Sharing a table, breaking bread, like connecting, looking at each other across the table.
Amazing.
It's so beautiful.
So juicy.
And I feel like Joy Rising is very similar.
Yeah, I think this is what I'm most passionate about right now. I think it's a creative process. I think it's born out of just exactly the same, like we're very similar in that way. I just want to connect with women on that deeper level of not like, yes, we can give you herbs and things to support your well-being and boost your libido and, you know, balance your hormones and all of that and like support
Also
you.
great.
Yeah,
like
right.
Also really
like if you're flat and you
life-changing.
have no drive or creative drive, like so for me when I was healing from cancer, I felt like the pleasure part and the creativity part and the play and the alter ego work with the wigs gave me permission to explore something new. And so I feel like that was integral in my healing journey of shedding the old, not trying to get back to the old person. And so it's, for me, Joy Rising is not only providing the foundation of wellness, like the 3 S's that we talk about: sleep, sex, and sugar, right? Like getting your sugar in balance, making sure you're eating right, nutrition wise, like obviously supporting yourself the way that we know to from, you know, the foundations of health. So getting your sugar balance right, you know, getting your sex hormones right, allowing, you know, all of that, and then sleep, your circadian rhythm. So it's like using those foundational things, but it's way more than that. It's like if you don't know what your passion and purpose are, or you don't, you are so anxiety ridden that cancer is going to come back, that you're living as like, I feel like sometimes women have this their identity is so cancer that they can't see themselves outside of cancer. I was talking to my oncologist about this, and she's like, I cannot tell you how many women become the pink ribbon.
Yeah.
That is their identity.
Totally.
And so mine is
I
like,
see it
no,
all the time.
no, cancer was a part of your journey and you might be strengthened and you might have strength from that. And like, you're empowered, like you got through it and I got through it, but we're so much more than that.
That's right.
And so
Amen.
when I was able to enjoy, like going back to the orgasm, I'm sorry, but when I was going
go back to the orgasm.
When I was going through treatment, I was like, at least I still get to enjoy this.
Yeah.
And truly, because I was like a different, like no hair. I was like, at least this still works, right? At least I can still receive and give love and feel like okay in my body and flush. And so an orgasm is a way to flush cortisol out of your body, as well as acupuncture. Those are 2 really well known, as well as along with laughter. So it's like incorporating play and pleasure and alter ego work into your journey. If you don't know how to incorporate wigs, we're here to support. If you don't know how to incorporate pleasure, I feel like your brand and who you are also lends to that of like, you know, have a good time. And so, that's all.
Have fun. Play with yourself. Go out. Date
so if
yourself.
you're still like in this cancer, like I had cancer and I'm racked with anxiety because I treat a lot of people with medical and health anxiety. I cannot tell you how many women come into me and have so much medical and health anxiety post-cancer or just even in general. Sure. And so Joy Rising is just major support on all levels, mind, body, and spirit, incorporating Eastern medicine and play, pleasure, and alter ego work.
Wow.
So I can't wait. I mean, I'm excited. The website's built and we're moving forward with it.
I love it. It's so beautiful. It's such a calling.
It is.
And there's such a demand, and it's not just for survivors. Yeah. Right? It's for all of us women need to for survivors, let's not forget that we need to consistently nurture ourselves. Yeah. As women that have never been diagnosed, don't lose sight of the fact that you need to consistently nurture yourself. Yes. And then let's be a supportive network amongst one another to constantly check in. And you're so amazing at that, checking in and really acknowledging when our friends are quiet and helping remind them to continue to nurture themselves. Yeah, and to show up.
Not asking people, like, what do you need? Like, just showing up. Yeah. Yeah. Showing up, checking in.
Right.
Yeah.
Being present, asking how you are, and then waiting to hear the answer. Yeah. Right? It's that real, like that extra just intention around being present with one another. And that's what this is about. And that's what we're here for. And it's
Oh
so
my gosh,
beautiful
I
and
love you
magical.
so much.
I love you too. Thank you for being here. And all your details will be in all the stuff. You know where to find it.
I had so much fun talking to you.
Yes, you too.
All right.